Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a happy Wednesday morning. It's hump day. It's hump day on college football week 1. Wow, I cannot wait. We got real big college football coming up this weekend. We got games tomorrow night. We're going to be talking some college football here on the big show today in a lot of different ways, too. Matthew Quigley, who is the CEO of Rising Spear, which is Florida State's NIL collective, is going to join us at 10:30. And we're going to go through, what exactly is going on in NIL across all of these major programs, how Florida State is doing. It's going to be very instructive. So if you don't know what's up with NIL, and I think all of us are still very confused as to the process of how it works, Matthew and I had a great conversation yesterday. So we'll illuminate many of the facts and myths that are going on in NIL. That'll happen at 10:30. At 10:45, Chris Pinson is going to join us from WCJB in Gainesville and talk a little Gator football. They got a little bit of a big opener coming up on Saturday night in the Swamp as number 7 Utah comes to town. Of course, we're going to get into the Rays, the Bucs roster, so many other things. John Gruden did an appearance last night in Arkansas, of all places, so we'll have some of that audio as well. And I'm going to welcome in my partner here, Nick Geddes from Outsider.com. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I am here today. I think that's the most important thing because, once again, did not follow Chris Lugo's plan to get more sleep.
From Bay Area Modern Medical Center. See how he worked that in there. Your sleep was not good.
The sleep was not good, but
you were close to coma when I walked in this morning. I'm not sure there was much of a pulse. I heard a little bit of a flat line at times, but
no. But I got 2 cups of coffee in front of me.
That's
I'm
right.
ready to go. You're excited about a new headset, so
how is it a new look? What's new here, folks? Do you notice something new? Check it out. Real professional type headsets here, huh? No more holding the mic, and this feels good. Feels like I'm doing a game. 2nd and 5 coming up here on the Buccaneers 45. So it feels good. My hands are free. I like talking with my hands now, so we'll get the more Italian expressiveness that I normally speak with. So away we go. Oh, and it sounds good too. I think it sounds a little bit better. I don't know.
The peas are not popping.
The peas are not popping. Oh yes, they just did. All right, let's get into the big story of the night, and that's Shane McClanahan unable to pitch and take the ball for the Rays last night in Miami. And while we'll hear him talk just in just a second, and Kevin Cash as well, everybody sounds optimistic. That's usually the way it goes right after an arm injury or shoulder injury for a pitcher, and then we get the MRI, and then 9 times out of 10, they're out for a few months at least. And, of course, we cannot afford that with Shane McClanahan right now. Our entire postseason hopes rest on that left shoulder. So we will be on pins and needles today waiting any word on the MRI. I would say at the very least he's going to miss a couple of starts in September, which is not good. With the gauntlet of a schedule coming up, the most difficult in the American League in September, you got to have everybody. And obviously the Rays have dealt with so many injuries this year to their pitching staff, and this one is a crusher. There's no doubt about it. If Shane McClanahan is down, I'm not sure how you recover from that. Yes, you can beat the Marlins like you did last night, and let's give kudos to Sean Armstrong for coming on and doing yeoman's work. The entire bullpen was fantastic last night. We'll talk a little bit about Jose Siri here in a second. Hope our phones don't go off. But that is a concern.
Yeah, and a shoulder impingement, I believe, is what it was described by the Rays. And according to my nice Google research on that, it seems like it can be treated with a cortisone shot. And in the best case scenario there, you would have a 2-week recovery. But this is the Rays, and it's no secret we have almost 20 guys on the IL, and it never seems like they come back whenever they're supposed to.
Right.
So I can't really put much stock into that, what I read and what other people have been saying. And I believe that's even what Topkin had reported. That's kind of the standard there. But it's a concern because the Rays are rolling right now. They continue rolling, and we're into September. 6 back in the loss column of the Yankees, as we mentioned. You need your ace there, and right now you're not going to get him.
Yeah, he's the best left-hander in baseball. So you lose that. that sucks, and it's going to really affect your fortunes the rest of the way. And we have to bring up the most obvious note when it comes to dealing with these injuries, especially with guys like Shane McClanahan. They are the number one resource of the Tampa Bay Rays. Cheap, talented pitching. That is the way the Rays operate. That is what has made Stu Sternberg a billionaire. And they will always err on the side of we're not going to get this guy hurt because he's very, very valuable to us in many ways. I'm sure all organizations look out for the welfare of the player, absolutely, but there's always a fine line between should he go or should he not go. So we'll see. We'll see how it all works out with the MRI and how he feels. I kind of want to, before we get to the game itself, because obviously this is a much bigger story, I kind of want to play that audio of him afterwards, if you can cue that up, because, he does sound extremely optimistic. He sounds like this is no big deal. I'll be back soon. But, it's not. It's kind of not up to him and his will, because it's more up to the doctors and what the Rays are going to say. So here was Shane after the game.
Shane, if you could just tell us what happened, what you feel, and just what kind of status are you at right now?
Yeah, going into the game, something just didn't feel right. Just couldn't get loose, just something. Couldn't put my finger on it, but ultimately getting down there, warming up, getting on the mound. Snides and Stan, we both communicated. All of us communicated pretty well, and just decide to err on the side of caution and just kind of pull the plug just in case. But no, just couldn't put my finger on it. Just an air of cautious and just doing the right thing.
Anything that had bothered you previously, or just on your bullpen or anything the other day?
Nothing. It's just one of those freak days. Might have slept on it wrong. Might have just some. I don't know. But aired on the side of caution here, and trusted those guys, and just got to keep working.
You looked a little despondent there in the bullpen. Was that?
Oh yeah, I was pissed.
Yeah,
I was very pissed. I want that ball every single chance I can get it, and ultimately, we talked about it, and we didn't want to take the risk of jeopardizing, the big picture for one or two starts. So, we're pretty optimistic about it. We don't think it's anything major, hopefully, and I think we're gonna be all right.
We've heard impingement, and if that's the case, maybe it's just a short IL stint or cortisone shot, something like that.
Yeah, obviously we got to get some more clarity on it, do some further stuff. But as of right now, I think cautiously optimistic is the right word for it. Impingement's been talked about and stuff like that, and so hopefully it's nothing major.
I think an impingement is just like, I'm sore, I can't get loose. Although you did consult Google Doctor, so I'm sure your doctor
is a little bit more credible than Twitter Doctor. So
is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not quite sure about that. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's not good. But I would just from what he's saying, I got to believe that the MRI is not going to be real serious.
He even said, wasn't it, like he thinks that he might have just slept
he might
have just slept wrong or whatever, waking up in the morning.
See, at least he sleeps, unlike you, Vampire.
Okay. Well, like you said, I got 17 different jobs going on.
He only works once every week.
He's only got one, and he makes probably like $50,000 to start.
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, no, he plays for the Rays. Okay. Soon he will, though. And that's the other thing. We had heard rumblings that they might be working on a long-term extension for him, as they did Glasnow, medium-term, not long-term, but medium-term extension for him. So I don't know how that plays in as well. When you're a guy like Shane McClanahan, by the way, do you not just love that quote? Oh yeah, I was pissed. I want that ball anytime I can get it. We got to clip that. Anytime we talk about Shane McClanahan, that has to be the drop. Oh yeah, I was pissed. Every time I want the ball. You just freaking love that. You love his mentality. So he wants to pitch, but you got to hold the Bulldog back. You can't. He is so valuable for this team that you just, you can't let him go out and do this. And one of our listeners, Jordan Gamillion, brought this up, and we'll throw it out there. He says, makes me wonder if Sugar Shane has had something going on since the All-Star break. He's been remaining quiet about it, which would explain the performance drop-off. Remember, he had that little velo dip for a couple of games, but then he came back strong.
He came back strong. And the last time we saw him out against the Angels, he was back to his self from the first half. He was throwing 101 against Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. So, I don't think the two are really connected. It might be something as simple as he just kind of slept on it the wrong way.
Right.
Like he said.
And the good thing, and Jordan goes on to say, definitely shut him down until the postseason, not worth the risk. Don't want this to turn into a glass now with our stable of arms. That's the thing. It's not an elbow. Thank God. It's not an elbow. Elbow, if it was elbow, forearm, I'd be like, oh, shiz, it's done. It's here we go. UCL, Tommy John. So shoulder makes me feel much better about that. Still could be an issue with the rotator cuff and everything else, but he's pitched a lot of innings this year. And he's been throwing in the hundreds and
it's first full season for him. We forget that because of how good he's been. It's his first full season as a starting pitcher. So, I mean, everything's new to him here. The Rays were going to limit him a little bit down the stretch.
Yeah. How many more innings has he pitched this year than last year, if any, if you could check that out?
Get the numbers on that. But even when it happened, though, like you see his reaction in the bullpen.
Yeah, he was pissed.
He said pissed. I thought he looked sad at first. I thought he was like borderline crying.
Yeah, I did too.
He had the towel on his head.
I did too.
And it made it to where it was so hard for me to watch like the first half of that game.
Yeah.
Because like the Rays were doing so great, but all I could think about was what was going on with Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, because his reaction made you feel like it was worse than I slept on it wrong type deal, But if you just can't get loose, that does happen a lot to pitchers. It's not and most of the time they try to pitch through it, and that's never a really good idea. So I think maybe in other years guys would try to like just pitch through it and pitch with lower velocity. It is interesting though what Jordan brings up. I mean, he had that dip in velocity, and maybe he had the same thing and he just tried to pitch through it that particular night and didn't go very well. So there's something. I think they're definitely related. I don't think there's any question that they're related. I think there's probably something going on in his shoulder, but it can be, just as simple as a loose body that talk about in the elbow. Same thing happens in the shoulder, and you get a little something in the wrong way. It's an impingement, and you just got to work it out. Cortisone shot, get the swelling down, then you're fine. So, we'll see, but this is not good.
No, and I got the numbers here. He's only thrown 24 more innings than he did last year. So for him, that's the equivalent to
how many innings has he thrown?
He's thrown 147 and a third so far this year.
And he threw 120 last year about?
Yeah, 123.
The Rays have this 20% deal where they never want you to throw 20% more innings than you threw the year before. So he's approaching that.
Yes.
He's approaching that. So and they had talked about limiting him down the stretch. I was on Twitter. There's a lot of conversation going on. Yoke Dandy, I know Yoke Dandy, big Rays Twitter. Talked about the injuries, a ridiculous amount of injuries for the Rays, and our boy who wrote the article last year on it, Verducci, and he talked about the Rays. One of the things the Rays do is they see whatever you do, like Whistler. I mean, all he throws is sliders. Can guys really do that? I mean, I don't remember another team just saying, yeah, you got a great slider, just throw nothing but sliders. Because you can't do that with an arm. Your arm can't withstand throwing nothing but sliders. You got to have fastballs, and then you got to mix it in. That's just not going to work. And guys with weird arm angles, Ryan Thompson goes on the injured list. These are, and they're throwing the same pitches over and over and over again. I'm spitballing here. But that's something that the Rays do differently. And as Verducci pointed out, they have more injuries than any other staff. They're also more effective than any other staff. So that's the kind of the conundrum here is, yeah, we got a lot of guys hurt, but we got the fourth best ERA in the league every year. So who cares? It's almost like a gladiator mentality is like, go out there until your arm falls off, go on the DL, and then we'll bring you back.
Yeah, and the problem with that is it works so well in the regular season, but as we've talked about before, it just never feels like they have their fully healthy roster getting into the postseason.
Right.
And you look at this year, we're getting reinforcements back, but that injured list is still quite long.
Yeah.
And now it looks like it just got one name longer.
Yeah.
And the most important name of them all, I'd argue, next to Wander Franco. So, I mean, think about that. Think about the injured list at the moment.
It's insane.
I mean, we already know the big names. McClanahan's going to go on there. We're hoping for maybe just a 10-day stint or 2-week stint, whatever. Wander Franco's on there, and Tyler Glasnow's on there. I told you yesterday or whatever, I think those are the three pillars of this franchise.
Yeah.
And they're all sitting on the injured list right now.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And here we are a month out from the postseason, and we're hoping to get everybody back, and it was looking up. But this is, of course, a setback, and I just hope nobody else gets added to this list. Because, I mean, Ryan Thompson, like you mentioned, just went on it yesterday. Now the return of Yarbrough once again, which I'm not exactly thrilled about. I don't know about you.
Well, he's no Shane McClanahan, but he's pitched better lately. Yeah.
He wasn't great his last time out, but he's going to get back in there pretty soon. But I mean, speaking to the game last night, though, and again, this is how the Rays do things. How many other teams could endure that and say, okay, now we got to go full bullpen day,
and
go out there and shut down the Marlins lineup?
Yeah, and they had a shutout through 5 innings, I think.
Yeah, and Sean Armstrong just out of nowhere, hey, you got to pitch today. Yeah, and you got to start, and he goes 3 innings. Did he give up a hit in those 3 innings? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I don't think he did.
Yeah. Tremendous bullpen work, and the Rays just seem to put guys out there, and they have good success, and they did it again last night and get a 7-2 win. And Jose Siri was freaking unbelievable last night. I mean, it looked like the second coming of Mickey Mantle. I mean, speed, power, defense, everything. It was on display last night. Almost hit for the cycle. Was a triple short of the cycle. The contact play where he scored from third on a chopper to Joey Wendell, who was almost at the pitcher's mound, still couldn't get him. And that speed is just unbelievable. The catch in center field, went full Kiermaier. With the drama afterwards, and then he hit a freaking bomb. Is that the one you got queued up? Is that the home run?
Yeah, I'll do the bomb first because we do have the great play in center as well.
Okay, but
here was the bomb here.
Listen to the sound of this one.
There's about 92 on that heater.
3-1, and Siri sends this one deep into center, and that baby is gone. Home run to center. What a blast by Siri on the 3-1 pitch. Siri hits it out to center, and the Rays will grab a 6-0 lead. He has scored 3 of those 6 runs.
See a little hop there, too? Yeah, he knew he got that one. 436 feet, I believe. Yeah, that was a bomb.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch. We talked about it. What was it was it that game against the Royals where he not stole home, but he beat out that grounder and helped them win that game.
Yep.
And he got all hype and everything. I mean, he just fits this culture so well.
He does.
You have to give it up to the Rays front office again.
Yeah, again.
I mean, I know it's hard for you to do these things.
It is hard.
It's very hard for you to do these things. But they
brutal.
set out to replace Kevin Kiermaier, and they have found his clone.
Yeah.
And probably a better hitting clone, by the way.
Well, we'll pump the brakes on that, but he's hitting .317 in his last 16 games since he got here, basically.
He remember when the Rays got him, he was hitting .178.
Yeah, .316, 18 for 57 over his last 16 games. His average is finally above 200. But again, to me, it's not what happens where you were; it's what happens when you get here. And how you perform on this team because of the analytics, because of the way they're going to put you in positions. Not going to put you up against a lot of tough righties. In his situation, he'll get most of his at bats against lefties, and we'll use his defense as well. You got that. This is the catch in center field, which, by the way, he's running. I'd say I won't say full sprint, but a good 3/4 as fast as he can when he hits the wall.
Birdie on 2-0 drives it back into deep center. Siri to the wall, and he's got it. Yeah. Siri all the way back to the wall as he made the catch. His momentum carried him into the wall.
Doesn't show the ball for dramatic effect.
And he grabs that one for out number 1.
Lays on the ground for a while. I like Kevin Kiermaier, very Kiermaier-esque.
I was going to say, he went to the Kevin Kiermaier School of Flying on that one.
He did.
I keep watching
and the School of Drama as well.
Yeah, I keep watching. He did. What did he sit Indian style right after he caught it and everything?
No, that's politically incorrect. It's crisscross applesauce. Don't ever say Indian style again on my program.
Well, hold up. Sidebar. I said crisscross applesauce on this program not too long ago, and you were like, "It's Indian style." So.
Oh, that's right. I did correct you. Okay, my bad.
So that was for you.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. So yeah, crisscross applesauce. He sat there for a while. Didn't you're supposed to show the ball to the ump. I got it. Nah, we don't do that. Of course I have it. Of course it's where if it's not in my glove, where is it, right? And then he gets up and what's the rest of his little play here, his drama play?
I don't know. He's like getting up here,
smiling.
Yeah,
everybody says, "You okay? You okay? Everybody good?"
Swag. That's
swag.
what they call that.
That's what they call that swag.
Yeah.
It was with the chain, the couple gold chains.
He's got 3 chains on.
That's also it looks
and I
good,
think he's
man.
got the double ear piercing.
Double ear piercing working. Those are like he's got the circles in the ear. What do you call that?
The gauges.
Intern Casey's here today, so we'll get that. Yeah, what do they call them? The circles in the ear.
It's gauges.
Gauges.
Right?
Gauges.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't have the gauges, but he's got the double.
Yeah.
He's got the double ear piercing.
Those aren't gauges.
No.
Those are diamonds.
Yeah.
That big?
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah, those are definitely diamonds.
Those are diamonds. Not get. Holy hell. How big are those? What's the carat size on that? Can we get? Where's Julie and Steve Weintraub when we need them?
That thing.
That looks like a freaking satellite dish. What is that? That's a diamond?
That's a diamond.
Wow. Good thing it didn't come out on the warning track. Yeah. Wow, that's a big diamond. That's the kind of diamond you get after a meal in China. Sorry, I worked that in. Who said Hunter Biden was? Anyway, that was one hell of a night for Jose Siri last night. All right, we want to listen to a little Kevin Cash post game.
Yeah, I'll cue that up here because it's a very short Kevin Cash last night. Very, very.
Well, of course,
short.
he may have just lost his most important player for the postseason. I think maybe that's a little telling. Maybe he knows a little bit more than we do. But
we should get an update today.
I think he's been dealing with what all pitchers with 140 innings deal with, and applaud him for going down there, getting it loose, and just not feeling right. Right now, I think we're all fairly optimistic that he's going to be fine. We actually had in our minds that there was a chance that we were going to kind of shorten up the start anyways today, just kind of like we did RAS a month ago or whatever. So we'll let the doctors and probably some imaging take place, but I'm personally confident that he's going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the McClanahan update there. So again, They don't sound concerned.
They don't
at all. So I know we're going to make a big fuss out of it because it's what we do here. But
I'm trying to. As I recall, most of the time we have pitchers injuries, though. This is kind of like what we hear.
We've experienced this before.
Yeah,
we have. So, and again, this is Shane McClanahan. This is like you said, the best left-handed pitcher in baseball right now. So, of course, we have to be really mindful of what's going on here with him. With that being said, the Rays are playing great baseball, and last night without him, like I said, I mean, again, how many teams can do that? Last night, what the Rays did.
Very few.
I mean, 20 minutes before the game starts, and your guy's not going anymore because he's hurt, and go with a full bullpen.
Yeah, no, it was very impressive, and it's a big win. And like I said, 8 of 10, they're still very much in control of that wild card situation. What you want to finish as the first wild card to get those home games, especially for the Rays, because their last 9 games are on the road. They got to be at home, and now that McClanahan's going to miss a couple of starts, that's.
Yeah, my Angels didn't help me out last night.
They did not. They did not.
And
Judge got 51 last night. Maybe we'll listen to that a little bit later on. What a season he's having, on pace for 63 now, which will be the American League record, and as far as I'm concerned, the Major League season record.
Quick side note on that: is he the MVP?
I have to go through all the other candidates.
Well, basically, let's just put it. It's down to him and Ohtani.
Ohtani, yeah. And Ohtani's at what, 39 home runs?
I don't think he has that many home runs,
Yeah,
no. But he's been a much better pitcher this year than he was last year. And he's probably gonna end up with close to 40 home runs. So
40 home runs, and God, it's so hard to take it to not give it to a guy that's doing both. I mean, it's if you're exceptional at both, and he's been exceptional at both, how do you not give it to him? I mean, it's just because Aaron Judge has hit a lot of home runs. I get it, especially in a year where there's not, he's far and away. Who's the next most home runs? I don't even think anybody else has 40, right?
I don't think so. No,
yeah.
I think it drops to like Kyle Schwarber.
And everybody else is in the 30s.
Guys, yeah,
I mean, he's markedly above everybody else.
He's one of 7 players to ever hit this many home runs at this date in the MLB calendar, which I think everybody else on the list is also Yankees, by the way.
How would you look at him from a defensive standpoint. I mean, he's
having to play center field right now because
Right.
the Yankees have botched their entire situation. Like Aaron Hicks
Right.
is an unplayable player, so he's having to play center. I only bring that up because there's a big debate going on right now. Who should it be, Judge or Ohtani? And I look at Ohtani's batting stats. Everything has dropped off just a little bit this year. Like his OPS is almost 100 points lower.
What are his overall numbers, pitching and hitting?
The hitting is 29.79, hitting 269 with an 885 OPS.
Okay.
That's his batting. The pitching, again, he's been much better. 2.67 ERA, 128 innings, 176 strikeouts.
I mean, come on.
I get
Come
it, but
on.
I think we had this conversation last year. Just because he does both, are we going to do this every single year?
I know it gets
and also, too,
I get
does
it. It's
matter,
tiresome.
Does it matter how good the team is in the MVP
No.
voting to you?
No.
Because, I mean, Aaron Judge is the most valuable player. The Yankees
No.
are going nowhere without him.
No.
The Yankees are going nowhere with or without Ohtani.
I think it has no bearing whatsoever, because you're playing the league. You're playing, I'm going to say identical schedules, but you're playing against the league. And, what are you doing? And he's an exceptional pitcher and an exceptional offensive player. So, yeah, as long as he's playing and he's really, really good at both, I give him the MVP. You make it sound like, just because he can do both. Nobody else has ever been able to do it except Babe Ruth, for God's sakes. Just because he can do both. I mean, big deal. Just because he can do both. I mean, nobody, like zero in 100 years.
So if Aaron Judge,
zero.
So if
You know
Aaron
what I'm saying?
Judge
Zero.
finishes with 65 home runs this year,
if he finishes with 85 home runs,
you
I
still
don't
wouldn't
care.
you don't care.
I don't care. 85 might be,
Yeah,
exceptional.
okay. Come back.
85 might be exceptional. But, the Yankees, look at the talent around him, for God's sake. So if you
But the talent is not performing.
Well,
and has been hurt,
it-
and he's been carrying them through everything.
well, he, early on in the season when they made their run, they've been an average team for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But when they were 80 games over 500 in the first 3 months, it wasn't just him. There was a lot of there was a lot of other good performances. So wins and losses mean nothing to me there. Like I said, he's the first guy in 100 years to be able to do this. And as long as he can do it, and it's got to, Judge doesn't have to worry about pitching. He doesn't have to. All he has to worry about is hitting. All he has to worry about is every day working in the cage. I mean, how good would Ohtani be as a hitter if all he had to worry about was getting in the cage every day and hitting, and didn't have to go through the mental stress and the physical stress of pitching?
I don't disagree with you
Okay.
necessarily on that. I'm just saying we can't just give the
Yes,
MVP
we
to
can.
Ohtani every single
Yes,
year
we can.
because you do both.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. As long as he's doing both at a high level, yes, we can. And if he's an average hitter and a really good pitcher, then we can start, having that conversation. But even as an average hitter and a really good pitcher, I still think he's the MVP. Nobody else is doing it ever. It's kind of a big deal in my mind. All right, so that's the Rays. We're going to get to the Bucks here a little bit later on because we're going to do college football for the next half hour. In fact, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. Coming up next is Matthew Quigley. He is the CEO of Rising Spear, Florida State's NIL collective. So we're going to talk not just about Florida State, but we're going to talk about the NIL in general. He's going to give us a great landscape of what's going on out there, how it works, how the Florida state law is really, really hurting the teams in Florida, by the way. So you get all that information coming up next. Stay with us.
Let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your wife of cheating or a husband involved in a divorce or an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Use the professionals at Emerging Investigations. They will get you the actual accurate information, not something you go out and do on your own, accurate information to make informed decisions on life's biggest matters. So check them out. Local attorneys, insurance agencies, and many of your neighbors all use Emerging Investigations. Go to emerginginv.com or call 813-291-FACT, 813-291-FACT. All right, we want to welcome in Matthew Quigley, who is the CEO of Rising Spear, Florida State's NIL collective. Good morning, Matthew. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. JP, thanks for having me on. Very excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us because so many of us are big college football fans, and we hear about NIL and we hear a lot of myths and we hear a lot of nobody really knows how this dadgum thing works, as Bobby Bowden might say. Give us just kind of an overall landscape of how NIL is working right now at Florida State and around the nation.
Yeah, sure. So NIL, right? Name, image, and likeness. So a student athlete at a university can now make money and profit off of their name, image, and likeness, right? It's not just for football players. I mean, there are a bunch of female student athletes that have a large social media following that can capitalize on that following, and they get paid to promote, companies from Taco Bell, Coca-Cola, whatever it may be, even down to like an insurance agency, right? That's a fan of that school or a fan of that sport. So it's really opened up a lot of avenues for student athletes to get paid and make money.
And for Florida State and Florida and all these schools in Florida, they are very much at a disadvantage, right, with NIL because of a state law that was passed early on in this process that was actually intended to help Florida State and the state schools, but it ended up backfiring. Explain that to the folks.
Yeah, JP, that's dead on. So Florida was the first state to pass an NIL law. We thought we were, ahead of the curve, kind of groundbreaking. But what happened was when we passed it, we were hoping the rest of the nation would take ours as a template and use it, right? Just kind of as a boilerplate standard legislation. Instead, what they did was they kind of removed all of the hamstringing legislation between the university and the third party, the collectives. And throughout the nation, a lot of states the universities can work with the collectives, right, and university employees. In the state of Florida, we cannot. Like, I can have zero contact with any staff for any university employee. So any sports program that's at Florida State University, I cannot have any contact with. I can only have contact with the student athletes.
So, and as far as the other places, they can have their NIL guys in the building. They can interact with coaches. They can do all this different stuff. That's a huge advantage, right?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Saban can have, right, the CEO of their Alabama collective can be in his office, and a player can walk in and he can say, Bryce Young, I want you to meet the CEO of Alabama Roll Tide Collective and want you guys to work out a deal where, and then Saban can also, do a call to action like we've seen him do over the last few months and get Alabama fans to step up and donate to the Alabama Collective. The Florida schools, none of our coaches can do that. That is prohibitively against the law.
So Mike Norvell can't get up there and say, hey, Seminole Nation, go onto the website, get your membership and help us out.
Yeah, JP, exactly. This is why this is so important for you having me on, right? Yeah. Go to risingspear.com, please donate. Yeah.
And this is going to change. This law is going to change, correct? Next year.
We're hoping it's going to change July of 2023. Everybody at all the power players at all the major universities in the state are really working hard and lobbying to get that law changed.
Yeah, and I think it should. We're talking with Matthew Quigley, CEO of Rising Spear at Florida State. Tell me about how we're doing. I say we because everybody knows I'm an FSU guy. I'm objective when we look at college football, but everybody knows I'm an FSU fan. So how is Florida State doing? How is the collective doing vis-a-vis Florida? Miami, I know, has Ruiz down there who's donated, $10 million. So how's Florida State stacking up?
So we were a little bit behind the eight ball. University of Florida, the Gator Collective, they started really like July of 2021, end of July, beginning of August. And, we were not formed really until November. Both Bob Davis and Alan Flamenhaft, our two co-founders, stepped down from the executive board for the Seminole Boosters and formed Rising Spear. And then we didn't really launch our official website until the spring game. So it was like that April 4th week is when we launched and kind of let everybody know that we're here to play. So we're a little bit behind, but we're catching up. We've got what we're hoping to be is a very good football team this year. JP, I know you've heard Norvell talk numerous times. The staff is very excited about this team. Success is coming. Can't wait for a show and out party Sunday night down there in New Orleans.
Yeah,
it's going to be very exciting.
Now, I know there are a lot of things you can't talk about in terms of athletes. So if there's something you can't answer, because some of these questions are on the edge. I know we talked about what we can and cannot talk about. This is all legal stuff, folks. So if you can't answer it, don't answer it. But what fans want to know is if there's a player out there that wants to come to Florida State, and we've kind of gone through this scenario actually. And he's a top-ranked player. Alabama wants him. Georgia wants him. Everybody wants him. And there's going to be money discussed. There's going to be NIL discussed. That's just the way it is these days.
Sure.
Is Florida State equipped to be able to match any other offers? God, it sounds crazy even talking about this, but this is the way it is, right?
JP, yes. So we're providing a proof of concept for those recruits, right? We have a ton of different avenues for our student athletes that are enrolled at Florida State University to make money. We have our Garnet Spirit Fund, which is our 501c3. It's a registered nonprofit organization. Every dollar that comes in there is tax deductible, right? It's a tax deductible donation. And we use those dollars and team up with local charities in Tallahassee. One of the large ones is the Boys and Girls Club, the Big Bend. And our student athletes go out to events and they earn appearance fees for that.
That's awesome.
Right. It's an incredible thing.
Win-win.
Yeah, exactly. It's a massive win-win. We also have our Gold Standard Fund. That's our for-profit. So if they're much like the advertisers for your radio show, right? If there are, Seminole-owned businesses or just businesses that are fans of a specific Florida State player and they want to have that player endorse their business, you would go through our Gold Standard Fund. We also have teamed up with Market Price, which is it's a marketplace for our players to go on and team up with local businesses in the Tallahassee area. We are the Market Price client, Rising Spear is. So all of the money that goes there goes directly to the student athlete. 100% of the donations that come in go directly to the student athlete. Lastly, we've teamed up with FanJolt, which is it's a fan engagement experience, kind of like Cameo, but it offers a wider range of menu options, and that you can really get to know these student athletes.
So they'll do videos and maybe come do a clinic for your team, your little league team, or something like that.
You got it, JP.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I know USF is doing some of these things, but this is cool because it really allows the athletes now to really intermingle with boys and girls clubs, little league teams, and make money. So it gets the athletes out there more, and that's always good too, right?
Yeah, and a lot of these athletes, right? I mean, this is for some of them, this is the best time they can make money in their lives.
Right.
And because not everybody goes to the league. Not everybody's going to be an NFL player, an MLB player, or NBA player, right? This is the moment where they can make the most money, and them recognizing that and being able to build their brand. Like, that's where Rising Spear comes in and just tries to help them with that.
Yeah.
We have, our alumni advisory board, from Charlie Ward to Derek Brooks, Coach Sue Semmerau, Megan King, former softball player. Like, we have a lot of former Noles that are just incredible people that just want to help out.
Matthew Quigley joining us here, CEO of Rising Spear at FSU. A lot of fans feel like this has no limit to it, and it's the wild, wild west. You hear people say Texas A&M's got all that oil money. Texas has got oil money. They're going to be able to throw so many more millions at players. Is that a fear? I mean, even FSU can't keep up with that. Is that a fear? How do you see that?
JP, I'm a big fan of, like, you can only control what you can control.
Right.
I can't. We don't worry about Texas and Texas A&M. They can only take 25 kids per class.
True.
Right. And our board's going to be different than their board, I'm sure, and that's not going to be a factor. Listening to Coach Norvell, he wants the perfect fit for his team, and that's probably not going to be the player that's demanding the most money.
Yeah,
would be my guess, right? So that's not something that we worry about. We can control what we can control for Florida State, and we put our best foot forward, and that's what we do.
From a branding standpoint, how big do you think this game is on Sunday night? Obviously, the FSU is trying to come back under Norvell from some very, very down times and regain that branding. I personally think this is a once in a 5-year opportunity, to be quite honest with you, to have the nation watching. It's the only game on that night in prime time on ABC. You got what I think is a very beatable LSU team. And you're a fundraiser. I mean, you got to look at this. This is a big deal, guys. You get this win, it makes my job a hell of a lot easier, right?
I mean, JP, you're dead on, right? I mean, you come to Florida State for these games.
Yeah.
The only game, primetime Sunday night of a holiday weekend. This is why you're here. This is why you've signed and put in the work from, starting in January all the way till, September 4th. But at the end of the day, it's one game, and we have a much more important conference game, 9 days later in Louisville on Friday night. So while this game is very important, it's still only one game, and then we got to regroup and focus for Louisville. So hopefully we can show out there in New Orleans. Like you said, very beatable LSU team. It's going to be a great game, and I'm very excited for it.
So, Matthew, I guess in the end, for FSU fans that are out there, a lot of fans we know, a lot of boosters went away from the program for a while. And it's never been more important now. I mean, everybody always wanted to have a hand in winning, right? You could be a booster, you could do certain things, but you never could be able to directly, influence and help kids and pay kids. And now if you're a small businessman, just if you're anybody can now get involved and help the team win by paying the players. I mean, this what's going on, right? It's crazy to say, but you can do it now. You can do it at small levels. You can do it at large levels. So, tell the folks how they can get involved now, where to go, the website, what levels of commitment they can do. Give us the whole elevator pitch here.
Yeah, JP, you're exactly right. There's never been a better time than to get involved right now and really have an influence on the product in the field. So if you head to risingspear.com, you'll see both of our funds there, the Garnet Spirit Fund, which is the nonprofit charitable donation. And then if you want some member benefits, or if you're a company and you want to direct some marketing dollars, that'd be your Gold Standard Fund. We do anything from starting at $25 a month on that side on up, to hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? That come in for marketing expenses. Same thing on the Garnet side. You can start there at $10 a month, all the way up if if you've just sold your company and you want a pretty big tax deductible donation, we would gladly take that.
All right. Well, risingspirit.com is it. Anything else you want to add, Matthew, to let the folks know what's going on that we didn't cover here?
Yeah, just follow us on social media. We're at Rising Spear NIL on both our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We post a lot of updates on there on kind of what's coming for the week, fan engagement opportunities, and then risingspirit.com, guys. I can't thank y'all enough, and go Noles.
Yeah, we'll have you on again, Matthew. Really appreciate you coming on, and you've now become like one of the most important people in terms of Seminole success. So we wish you all the best. I think you're going to do a hell of a job. Really appreciate you coming on. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, JP. You're the man.
All right. Anytime. We'll get you on. Matthew Quigley right there. I think I learned a lot. I think I just learned a lot about NIL. I was more concerned that these big money teams are going to, kind of run the world in terms of recruiting. But he makes a good point. You can only take 25 for the most part. And, there are just a lot of kids that don't want to go to Texas A&M. There are a lot of kids that don't want to go to Texas. So, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not an advantage. It is. There's no question about it. But it may not be the end all, be all. Look at Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is a perfect example. FSU was offering him as much money as anybody else. I know that for a fact. And he still didn't, he ends up at Jackson State. You're still dealing with 17-year-old kids and I don't think they're, and then he brings up another great point. If you're just about the money, that may not be the guy you want on your roster.
Yeah, and it sounds like from what he said, those aren't the guys Mike Norvell is exactly going after, because he's got to get the right guys to fit his culture, his team, all those things. But at least we know, hearing it directly from him, that it sounds like they're getting their act together.
Yeah.
And they're finally moving forward, because as you've talked about and others have talked about, it was not the case when this all started.
No, FSU was behind the 8 ball and much of their own doing. I've said this many, many times that FSU's issues go back to the administration. It's at the highest level. They made a lot of bad decisions. They stopped focusing on football for the most part. Just thinking that was, that'll just take care of itself. Can't do that. You just cannot do that. You take your eye off the prize and you're going to get passed by everybody else. The competition is too fierce in college football. And that's what happened to FSU. And it takes a long time to get back. I think they have a new president now. I think they've cleaned up. Thank God they didn't hire the fraud from Louisville. And so I think they got in Michael Alford, a very smart and business savvy athletic director. I think he's made a lot of the right moves. So I think they're in a much better situation.
Yeah, and USF's another good example of that.
Absolutely.
When you don't prioritize athletics at all,
great point.
This is where you have to dig very deep to get out of it. USF's doing that right now.
No, I totally agree. It's funny. We always put you look at the head coach and the players and everything like that. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that is so very important in terms of getting facilities built and getting, the right equipment, the right staff, the money for the right staff, getting good, solid people in the right places for the right reasons.
Which is why the article that ESPN that uncovered everything that went on the last decade there was so important to know how everything works, because you would have never known.
No,
everybody would have just said, "Oh, it was Jimbo this, it was Jimbo." There's so many other factors.
So many other things going on, and I think they're headed in the right direction now. All right, that's kind of the FSU and general landscape of the NIL. If you guys want to react to that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that at FanStream JP, at the JP Peterson Show. You can always comment on our Facebook page, JP Peterson, or you can go to our YouTube page, JP Peterson Show, and comment on that. We'd love to hear from you. Coming up next, we'll do some Gator stuff with Chris Pinson, WCJB, covering your Florida Gators. They got a huge game Saturday night in the Swamp. Is Anthony Richardson ready to take the mantle at Florida and lead them to a big win? We will find out next. Stay with us. JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, Using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations. Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance, even if your mortgage company does.
Chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Never a bad time to go shop your insurance. Homeowners insurance has gone through the roof. I know that. You all know that. There may be a better option out there for you, so don't just pay the increase. You might as well have the good folks at Italiano Insurance shop it around for you. So give them a call at 813-877-7799. And if you started a business during COVID and it's, starting to do pretty good, you got to get business insurance, folks, because if somebody sues you, they can get your personal wealth if you don't have business insurance. So you got to make sure you do that. Give them a call, 813-877-7799 at Italiano Insurance, and tell them JP sent you. All right, let's bring in our good friend Chris Pinson, former producer and co-host of this show, now working at WCJB in Gainesville, covering those Florida Gators. What's up, Chris? How are you, buddy?
What is going on, partner? How?
Are you ready? Are you ready for what's about to happen in the Swamp on Saturday night? 7th-ranked Utah coming in there. The Pac-12 champions trying to get a big SEC win. This is a huge game for them, and they got a lot of returning starters. I think they're actually favored in this game, are they not?
They are. It's a small favoritism, but Utah is favored by 2.5. Which makes total sense because, as you mentioned, they are the Pac-12 champion. They got a lot of guys coming back. And JP, for Florida, there's so much going into this game that I do worry about Gator Nation early. You being a Florida State grad, the expectations are starting to really ramp up for Mike Norvell, in his early start here in his third year at Florida State. And for Billy Napier, JP, I said this on Sunday at the 6 o'clock news. I said, look, Gator Nation, it's not like Billy Napier walked in here and was handed the keys to a brand new Ferrari. I mean, this guy has a beat-up Corvette that he's trying to restore back to a showroom finish. And, he's got a lot of moving parts. Everybody loves Anthony Richardson. Everybody knows this kid wearing the number 15 jersey like Tim Tebow can do what Tim did. But right now, he's unproven. He's only completed 33 passes in his young career, and has one, JP, of 96 freshmen or sophomores with AR being a sophomore, that's a lot of youth, JP.
Yeah,
and you and I both know youth has mistakes and youth has growing pains. So this one is going to be one you got to watch, and hopefully it's not going to be over by halftime.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Anthony Richardson because, I mean, he obviously is the focal point of that offense. And what was that quote last week, I think, from Billy Napier, that I think his entire career stats as a passer is like, what was it? Like, it's almost like a single game for some of the Gators legends, right? That's
correct, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I look at what's behind him. And I believe, what is it, Jalen Kitna, who's second on the depth chart. So, I mean, my question there is, I mean, how do you feel about where things are with Anthony Richardson if he could start struggling? Because last year, obviously, Emory Jones was there in front of him. I mean, do we feel like Anthony Richardson is that guy?
Oh, believe me, if you ask any Gator fan, they are so glad that Emory Jones is gone. You know, I mean, he would look. And I say that, I know that sounds mean, but Emory proved a lot of times that for some reason he would just throw to a wide open defender for no reason. And so, last year, that's why Dan Mullen, though, as much of a sore loser as he is, Dan Mullen was right. He said, look, every one of you wants to anoint this kid and make AR the new guy. Well, you haven't been in practice. Also, they don't let us there, but you haven't seen, what's going on there. And so when he did play against Georgia, he had 3 turnovers in 2 minutes, and that was the ball game. This year, everybody knows Anthony Richardson is the undisputed star and starter of this team. How he plays, this team will do. But the 2 biggest questions for Anthony Richardson are this. Number one, when you go up against top 25 teams again this year, are you going to play like you did against Georgia? Will you be a little smarter, a little wiser, and not a deer in the headlights? Because, you're playing 4 top 25 teams. You're playing Utah and Kentucky right out of the gate back-to-back. And then down the line, you still got Georgia and A&M. And the other question is, can Anthony Richardson stay healthy? There was a number of games last year, USF in particular, he broke off a 75-yard touchdown run, pulled up late with a hamstring.
Yep.
And then he made that great 4-touchdown performance that almost brought Florida back against LSU. And then he was out, pretty much for the rest of the time. So for Anthony Richardson, it's about proving that you can carry the mantle that we all think you can, and you can stay healthy. Because if he goes down, Jack Miller's recovering from thumb surgery, and you've got Kitna. So the backups, they might be okay, but they certainly don't have all the hype and the pressure Anthony Richardson does.
Chris Pinson joining us here from WCJB in Gainesville. Let's talk about some of the weapons that he has to work with over there. I mean, there's a lot that, there's no more Damian Pierce, speaking of Dan Mullen. He wasn't good enough to start at Florida, but he's going to be good enough to start in the NFL.
That's right. Remember, only 8 carries a game for that guy for some reason. Only 8.
Yeah, unbelievable. So maybe Dan Mullen didn't know who should be playing and who should not be playing. But what about the weapons that he's working with on offense?
Right. So on offense, this JP is a problem for me. Again, AR can throw it a mile and he can run like a deer. And I think particularly this year, even though he's going to have another solo offensive line, because the Gators offensive line, they were the 5th fewest sacks last year, or 6th fewest sacks in the FBS, which is great.
It's a big deal.
But this year, his receiving targets are very similar in the fact that I don't think there's a top 25 team out there that's looking around its DB or its defensive coordinator room and saying, man, how do we stop that guy? Who do we double? He does not have the weapons Kyle Trask did. He doesn't have a Kadarius Toney or Kyle Pitts or Grimes. He's got guys like Marcus Burke, like Quavion Frazier, Trent Whittemore, Ricky Pearsall from Arizona State. He's got guys that, to me, are better with space and being able to have possession catches. He doesn't have really anybody on this team that's going to be a no ball for top defense. So I think AR is going to be able to move the sticks with a lot more short, intermediate passes. And that's going to be the Gators' bread and butter. But as far as passing goes, on the running game, you got Montrell Johnson, you got Lingardo Lazard. I mean, you got a number of guys you can rotate in the backfield that Billy Napier is going to use. Now, believe me, I know Billy Napier. This guy is going to be running the football, I'd say probably 65% of the time, because he understands what he's got. He understands what he doesn't have. And the best thing for Anthony Richardson and his development as a quarterback and confidence is for them to run the ball, control the clock, control the tempo, and then run that play action and pitch over the top and say, man, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, because the team they're facing is no joke. 17 returning starters for Utah. They won the Pac-12 last year, lost to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl at the wire. I think it was a kick at the end of the game. They got
That's
nine,
right.
nine all-conference guys returning, including their quarterback Cameron Rising. I mean, Kyle Whittingham is a great coach. This is a hell of a test for a team that's going through, a coaching change, a scheme change, a quarterback change, and I mean, I know Gator fans are optimistic, but for me, this is a huge ask to win this game. And by the way, Utah knows that this is going to be a game where in December, when the guys are looking at the playoffs, they're going to look and they say, how did they got an SEC win on the road? That's going to be a big deal for them. So yeah, I just think this is, whatever you think about what the Gators are bringing back, the opponent they're playing ain't LSU. I hate to tell you, Utah is better than LSU. So I'd much rather play LSU in the Superdome than Utah at home, to be quite honest.
That's a great point. JP, also one of the weapons that really I believe is going to give Florida problems in their unproven defensive front is Tavion Thomas. He's the running back last year that in just 10 games for the Utes put up 1,100 yards and a school record 21 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, that only having 7 seniors on this entire team. And oh, by the way, don't forget, who's coming with Utah is the guy that used to be a linebacker for Florida that transferred to Utah this offseason, Mohamed Diabate.
That's right.
So there's going to be some bad blood on that side of the field. And yeah, again, Utah's experience. Utah is a team that I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on. I've talked to a bunch of friends, in the business, and for some reason they don't think Utah is actually that high, and they're kind of wondering, why is this game only a 2.5 point difference? Now, granted, right? We know how betting works. We know the money line can always change, but to me, JP, Utah definitely brings in the superior squad. But right, this is the swamp. This is what? This is 95% humidity in September in Florida. This is an environment and a crowd you cannot simulate no matter what you do at your practice facility. So I think if Florida can hang in there tough early, and keep things within the median, then they'll be just fine the rest of the way. But if you let Utah jump on the board early and AR starts to, and those drives start to stall offensively, well, guess what? By the fourth quarter, the opponent from Utah is going to be wearing you down in the trenches, and that's not going to be a good way to start the season.
And speaking in general to the SEC East, I think everybody always knows the SEC West is usually the better side of that divisional breakdown. But I look at the SEC East this year, and, Georgia's Georgia. Tennessee has a lot of hype behind them. Kentucky, obviously, a lot of hype with them. South Carolina looks rejuvenated with Spencer Rattler there at quarterback. So with all that being said, those are all going to be tough games, probably more so than ever, I think, in the SEC East, or at least in a long time. What do you think is a realistic expectation for Florida record-wise, probably here in year one under Billy Napier?
Right, so on Sunday, as part of my little speech there about the beat-up Corvette kind of thing, I told Gator Nation, I said, look, 6-6 or better is a great mark for Billy Napier's first start. Again, this guy has so much youth on his team that I believe there's going to be a ton of growing pains. A lot of these kids, they don't have the experience or the seasoning to know what a big game in the SEC is like on a weekly basis. And when you're talking about a coaching change, you're talking truly about a culture change, because there was a ton of a lack of accountability on Dan Mullen's side. For some reason, he did not recruit very well for Florida. The cupboard's kind of bare. So to me, with Billy Napier coming in, changing everything, let me tell you all this. Billy Napier and his staff literally sat down with every single Florida football player, all 114 of them individually, and looked over their schedule and said, okay, we are going to maximize every single individual schedule to be the best you can do every day. I mean, this guy's making so many small culture changes. So to me, this year is about being able to say, look, I came in, I didn't have the greatest talent or team around me, but I was able to put it together, get these guys to buy in. So in my opinion, if they go 6-6 or better, that's a great foundation, because next year, Florida's class, already top 10 recruiting, has 18 out of 20 recruits that are 4 stars or better. So believe me, the future is very bright for Florida. But the present, hey, you got to get through this year and prove that this was the guy that could change things inside and out.
That's a great synopsis right there, Chris Pinson. That was fantastic. I would put that on your resume reel right there. That was outstanding.
I appreciate that.
I think a lot of Gator fans don't want to hear that, but I think that's the best way to put it. They brought Billy Napier here to recruit, and
that's right.
And he's already showing that he can land some big fish. And that's what it's going to take to compete in the long run. So why Dan Mullen was fired. Let's be honest. Dan Mullen would have won 8-9 games for the rest of his life, but he wasn't going to get you to the top of the, top of the stratosphere because he just didn't want to recruit for the way it was supposed to go down. So, I would, if I'm a Gator fan, I would temper expectations for this season, but I think you got the right man in charge in terms of moving forward. I feel the same way about Mike Norvell. And I feel the same way about Mario Cristobal. To be quite honest, I think
he's going to be scary down there once he gets rolling.
Yeah, they're looking at building a new stadium, like I knew they would. They got one of the best athletic directors in Dan Radakovich. So I would say, things are about to heat up in the state of Florida, and I'd throw UCF and USF in there as well. There's going to be, I say, in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see these Florida teams back in the top 25 in a pretty consistent basis where they should be. So we'll see.
Brother, believe me, I'm looking forward to it because the Florida, you and I both know college football is great, but when you got Florida State and Miami all battling out in the top 10 every single year, that adds it a little something special.
All right, my friend, appreciate your time. Follow Chris Pinson. What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is simple. It's Chris_Pinson_.
There you go.
Pretty simple.
Follow him on Twitter. Always great stuff on the Gators. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, buddy.
Always, partner. Take care.
I really feel like all these programs are in good hands right now. And Miami looks like they're going to get that stadium built near Tropical Park, which isn't on campus, but a hell of a lot closer, and it'll be their own stadium. USF is going the same way. And all those teams doing it because UCF did it. And even though you got your little bounce house there, it's a crap pile, but it's yours. It's your crap pile. Your fairgrounds. So that's but it works.
I prefer you call it by its real name.
What is it?
It's changed again, by the way. I think it's like the fourth time it's changed in like 5 years. It's the FBC Mortgage.
I'm not doing that.
Stadium.
I'm not doing that. Unless they sponsor my show, that's the bounce house.
I don't like calling it the bounce house. See, I'm different on that.
Why?
I hate how they when they didn't have a sponsor, they just decided to just call it the bounce house. I'm not big on just putting gimmicks as names of stadiums like that.
But it's your identity.
I get it. But
and it's a good one. Like the bounce house is like, okay, let's bounce. And there's vitality. The crowd's going crazy. You feel like the stadium's about to fall down because it's cheesy. But I would embrace the bounce house if I were FBC. FBC, what is it? FBC Mortgage.
FBC Mortgage.
Oh yeah, that really inspires me. No doubt about it. Embrace the bounce house, bro.
I guess so.
No wonder you're the curmudgeon on the UCF podcast.
Oh, I know. They hate me. They hate me on that pod.
That's good. Every show needs a villain.
But I say this all the time, and I've said it here, and I say it there. I still think UCF's the best team in this state, and I'll die on that hill. I don't care what the other Florida teams do.
You think UCF is the best team in this state this year?
This year, yes. They look the most stable of everybody. Florida and Miami are going to have their transition years.
John Rice Plumlee.
I don't think John Rice Plumlee is going to be the quarterback by the end of the year.
Who do you think it's going to be?
I think eventually they're going to turn it over to Mikey Keene or maybe this kid Thomas Castellanos, who's their highest quarterback recruit they've ever gotten. Eventually.
So you're going to be playing different quarterbacks every other week, you're saying, and you still think they're going to be the best team in Florida?
We did schedule predictions the other night, and I had 11-1.
Well, that's because you got an easy schedule.
There's some tough games on there.
By the end of the year.
But they have all their tough games at home, and UCF's only lost twice in 6 years at home.
I think it's between Miami and Florida State. I think a lot of
everybody thinks it's Miami.
I hate saying this because it just sounds like an FSU honk, and I should probably wait till after the LSU game to be quite honest. But
what happens when they're 1-2 after a loss to LSU, an ugly one to Louisville after UCF pounces on them?
You know what? Yeah, I'm a little concerned about let's take a break. We'll take a break. I want to come back, and I'm going to say something that I probably shouldn't say. Speaking of which, John Gruden talked yesterday. We've got his audio as well. So we'll both put our foot in our mouth when we come back. We'll talk some Bucks as well. Stay with us. 3-minute break. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you in our second area by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. They're also offering discounts for their weight loss plans right now. Don't go to some chiropractor telling you how to lose weight, folks. They're just going to give you a pill to suppress your appetite. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they look at the whole person and personalize a plan just for you, exercise, nutrition that works for you. BAMMC.com. We're also brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance and the Gold and Diamond Source. Guys, a lot more guys wearing jewelry these days. Are you looking for some of those fashion rings, a gold chain, silver chain, something like that, or a Rolex watch or one of those baller watches? They got a lot of different ones there. Incredible selection. So head on over to the Gold and Diamond Source and check out what they got there. They've got the best prices, the best selection, the best staff. And, of course, as we always tell you, they are a great community partner. Just talking with Julie and Steve Weintraub the other day, our good friend Brian Bradley is going to donate $5,000, which, of course, is from the Lightning. They gave $5,000 to every employee to give to local charity, and Brian chose Hands Across the Bay, which is Julie Weintraub and Steve Weintraub's charity that helps the domestic abuse victims. So congrats to Brian. Thank you for that donation. And thank you to the Lightning, and thank you to Julie and Steve Weintraub and the great charity that helps so many people out in need. So it's the Golden Diamond Source, great local company. You know where to find them, 3800 Omerton Road, or always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, so I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think we're talking about who's going to be the highest ranked team at the end of the year. I think it's going to be Florida State. There, I said it. Well, I should kind of qualify that. UCF might be the highest ranked because they have the easiest schedule. I would love to play UCF in a freaking bowl game if I'm Florida State.
Well, I hope we get that. Last year, if Florida State would have beat UF at the end, we would have had Florida State and UCF
in the Gasparilla Bowl. Oh, yeah, that would have been
fun.
We
were very close. I hope that in the future, and I know it's going to be weird now because of all these stupid conferences.
Yeah.
I wish that we could get more of these in Florida.
Yeah, they should be playing every other year. You know, FSU should be playing USF and UCF every other year.
Yeah, which I think UCF's supposed to play Florida starting next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember the games. Well, I'll never forget the game UCF went up and pounded FSU up there. They physically took it to them.
When was that?
2008, I think it was 2008. It
was USF, right?
USF. Yeah. Did I say UCF?
Yeah.
USF. Yeah. That was a butt whooping. That was a physical butt whooping. You remember that? Oh, you get your bull. Casey's got her bull sign up. Yeah, that was a big win. And but those games should take place every year. You know, and I'll throw FIU and FAU in the mix. They're never on my radar because that's South Florida. But these state schools should play each other. I mean, Florida State's playing Duquesne. You know, come on.
Yeah.
You might why not play FIU at least FAU if you're going to for total freaking. And that's something that, you know, if the legislature has to demand that, like they did back in the day when Florida was too scared to play Florida State, and the Florida legislature made them do it for all intents and purposes. Do it again. I mean, it's silly, but anyway, I think UCF may be higher ranked, but if Florida State can stay healthy, I think they have a chance to be better than Miami. They beat Miami last year, and I think Miami's not as good this year. They get the better quarterback, but I think their defense is still going to be a sieve.
Miami's tough to judge. I mean, I think they have the best quarterback in the state.
I would agree with that,
and I think by a decent. I don't want to say decent margin because I've been on record saying I think Anthony Richardson is the guy and he could be a first-round pick.
He has the best tools, but he does not. But we just talked about, he does not have the weapons.
He's not polished.
Yeah.
He ain't polished. The weapons, there's a lot of, like Chris said, he doesn't have Kyle Trask's weapons.
And new system.
A new system.
Yeah.
So, but I think Van Dyke is the best quarterback in the state of Florida.
I would agree
easily.
with that.
Cristobal, is he the best coach in the state of Florida? I probably would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, again, and how many games did they win last year? 7, 8? So, I don't know.
And they've got a lot of great recruits on the way.
Got a lot of they scare me more than any team, I think, in the state of Florida long term.
Yeah.
Which I haven't been able to say that about Miami in a long time. I truly feel that way.
But people don't talk about this enough. They lost their heart and soul. They lost their reason for living. Their entire identity. And you know what I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
The turnover chain. How are they going to deal with the loss of the turnover chain? I mean, I think Mario Cristobal is playing with fire right there.
You really think so?
I think he's playing with fire. I saw how those players rallied around that turnover chain. I mean, it was like, you know, that scene in the Ten Commandments when, you know, they all go crazy over the golden idol where they built the calf out of gold. You never seen the Ten Commandments, Charlton Heston?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
I'm not following.
Are you kidding me? Are you never seen that?
No.
They all go crazy and they're look at the golden calf. They refuse God, and it's total chaos. That's what's going to happen in Miami. It's just like that was their thing. That was their thing. They rallied around it. You remember?
Rallied around
and
it.
that's not even going to be there.
To what?
To get a turnover. That was the whole thing.
They weren't winning football games with the turnover chain. Oh, they were losing 45-7 to Alabama, and they're breaking out the turnover chain.
I know.
After a fourth quarter turnover.
That's a little tongue in cheek what I'm doing here.
I know.
Yeah, they look ridiculous. But so actually, I think that was a sign to me. Oh, Cristobal's, he's got these. This is serious business. This is serious business. I was like, damn.
It's better than
that's bad news.
It doesn't get worse though than that red backpack.
Oh, no, like as much as I make fun of the turnover chain, that was 10 times better than the red backpack that FSU had. That was we were talking about that at the Booster bar this weekend. It was like where was the lowest point for FSU? And I was like red backpack. Like red backpack, no question. Like it's not even debatable. It's not even debatable.
Was that the Virginia Tech game?
Losing to Jacksonville State was bad. The red backpack was worse. The red backpack was worse. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was the Virginia Tech game, right? The Taggart game, the first Taggart game.
I don't even. I'm so scarred by the thing. It's just like yeah, so bad. So I couldn't believe it. I was like, it was almost as bad as when I was on the sideline and they were playing the music before the pregame, and they were playing explicit rap music, like so either somebody forgot to put the non-explicit version in there, or somebody just said, what the hell, we're just going to let that just blare throughout Toe Campbell Stadium. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, honestly, I think that was a sign to me that Cristobal was like, this is serious. Oh, yeah. Like they're this ain't messing around anymore.
Which I find it funny because he played in the era where
Miami
was all about the swag.
Right.
So I am curious what is he trying to polish it up a little bit?
It's culture change. It's culture change. They probably will have something. I'm not going to say similar, but something to, because I don't think it's a bad thing. Kids getting excited about something and a turnover, like you get a turnover, you do something. Like, I don't think it's a horrible thing, but that seemed to just like the chain got bigger every game.
Yeah.
It's like a bigger emblem. It just seemed like what are we doing here? Like it, I always thought if FSU had like a spear, that spear that Osceola, and Renegade, they throw down, like, okay, that should be, you want to, let's hand that out on the sideline. Let's grab that collectively, and that would be cool, I think.
In the right moment.
In the right moment, yeah. But it has kind of, especially at Miami, just taken on a life of its own, and it almost became a distraction. I think Cristobal saw that and said, that's just. I think for him, it was kind of really a culture change type moment. Like this is going to be different here. We're going to do things differently here than we've done it in the past.
Well, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
So he's got 20 years that he has to undo.
Right.
And the turnover chain's a part of the last 5, I guess.
No.
You can't be trending every single game day because of a turnover chain. That can't be happening.
Right. It just got a little bit out of hand. I love I'm not trying to say we shouldn't have, these guys should not be emotional and doing things like that. I think it's great.
I love the NFL. Like, I'll go to the NFL real quick. The Bucks. I love when they do the rowing the boat thing.
Yeah.
After they get a team turnover.
I love that. Love that. Like, spontaneous celebrations like that.
But it has
really
to happen
cool.
when you're kicking somebody's ass.
Right.
Please don't. Like the Bucks did it in that Bears game when they were already up like 35-0.
Yeah.
Please don't do it when you're down by like a score.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. It's definitely time and place, no doubt. But I think FSU has a chance to have, an 8 or 9 win season, which for them will be really, really good. I think Florida's challenges we just mentioned, their schedule's tough, and it's all that.
They got the toughest
brutal schedule. They're going through a lot of change, so I don't think it's them. UCF, I just their quarterback situation. More about it than I do.
I'll just leave you with this on UCF because I know you don't know the ins and outs.
Right.
UCF is 30-2 at home in the last 6 years. 30-2, and both those losses came in the COVID year where it wasn't the full experience.
Right.
And this year, their biggest games. SMU, Cincinnati, Louisville, they're all at home. So that's why I said 11-1. I think they're going to trip up on the road at least maybe once or twice, maybe USF, I don't know. But in the bounce house, they have all their biggest games. So that's why I'm even more optimistic this year.
Okay. And I think Miami, I think they're a bit of a wild card, like you said, but they have new systems, new coaching. I think their defense is very suspect. So we'll see. Yeah. That's why I'm so excited.
I'm just happy we're not talking about, we did talk about NIL today, but we're not talking about the nuances of NIL all over the place. We're not talking about realignment and TV deals.
Right.
We're finally talking about the game.
Let's talk about football. So I'm calling for, I think FSU is going to have an 8-win season. I think I think that at the end of the year, they'll be considered. Are they going to beat Miami again? They beat them last year with a bad team. So I say it. All right. John Gruden has resurfaced. We've seen him around town here after the this email scandal, which did not put a very favorable light on him in any way, shape, or form. How it was handled by the NFL certainly did not make them look good or distinguish them in any way. But John resurfaced yesterday. Was it the Arkansas quarterback, Little Rock
Touchdown Club?
Little Rock Touchdown Club in Arkansas, and did a bit of a mea culpa. Is this the mea culpa one?
Yeah, I think this is pretty close to it. Yeah.
Okay.
I know you're in a lawsuit right now, so you can't really comment on that particularly. But the kind of person you are, I thought maybe it was important that maybe you sort of share and just a little bit of exposure around you and the things I've read that your players have said, and your assistants have said, and the coaches you've been under. I think maybe there's been a different kind of person portrayed. I just want to give you the chance to talk about that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm not going to say anything but honest things here. I'm ashamed about what has come about in these emails, and I'll make no excuses for it. It's shameful. But I am a good person. I believe that. I go to church. I've been married for 31 years. I got 3 great boys. I still love football. I've made some mistakes, but I don't think anybody else in here hasn't. And I just ask for forgiveness, and hopefully I get another shot. But I get choked up, because there's a lot of misunderstanding out there right now. What you read, what you hear, what you watch on TV. Hell, I worked at ESPN for 9 years. I worked hard at that job. I don't even want to watch the channel anymore because I don't believe everything is true. And I know a lot of it is just trying to get people to watch. But I think we got to get back to reality. And that's why I look forward to Saturdays, because you're going to get what you deserve when the whistle blows. And we'll see if the Razorbacks can get after Cincinnati, which I hope they do.
Yeah.
I hope that sounded better in everybody else's headset than it did in mine.
I know, for whatever reason, that one was not coming in your headset. It came in my headset.
You had clear?
Yeah, I had it clear, and it was going over. So
okay, I got the gist of it. A lot of what he said there, I have to agree with as far as what's going on ESPN. So yeah, I would agree with that. Obviously he's making his mea culpa. Everybody deserves a second chance. I'm very torn with the whole John Gruden thing, to be quite honest. I know a lot of his friends. We have a lot of mutual friends. And when I was working at Channel 8, it was difficult. It was difficult. And I'm not one of those, journalists or TV or radio people that feel like coaches have to kiss your ass all the time. I'm exactly the opposite. But it was tough. It was tough. And I know a lot of people that have worked from him that it was tough. I know the players. I've talked to a lot of players who didn't trust him from a coaching standpoint. Will he get another chance to coach? I think he will, probably in college football. Do you have the soundbite with him? Kind of, I don't want to say angling for the Arkansas job, but
he said it at the end there. He kind of mentioned at the end there
I think that was more to play to the crowd, to be quite honest.
I think this might be it.
Yeah,
right
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get this going here.
Did you ever consider going to Arkansas?
That's a tough question, right? Just start the day off. I wouldn't say they were real serious conversations. I had just taken a job at ESPN broadcasting, so they weren't real serious, but I think they were just searching for the right guy. And we did have a couple preliminary conversations because of John Daly, that's for sure. I was concerned about being a college coach because I would have you on the death penalty probation within 6 months. But now that you're paying players, and I know a bank with $27 billion, I'd love to have the Arkansas job. I tell you that.
It's almost like watching Frank Caliendo do John Gruden.
I know. It's all I can see is Frank Caliendo.
I'd love to have the Arkansas bank with $27 million, man. I'd love to have the Arkansas job. Like Coach Pittman's like, excuse me? What?
I thought he was going to Tennessee. Wasn't it not Tennessee? Where did Arkansas ever come up?
I
with
don't
this thing?
remember Arkansas.
I remember
yeah.
Tennessee. I
Yeah.
thought that was like almost a done deal.
Because his wife was a cheerleader there.
Yeah.
It's always like that connection. Like, oh, well, he's definitely going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
But
But back to your original point, though, the original thing he said there, I get it. He wants to apologize and he wants to get it out there, and everybody, the second chance, yada, yada, yada. The problem with John Gruden is, from the outside looking in, he never has come off as genuine.
Right.
He never has come off as genuine. So it's hard to take this apology with much credence. And you listen to all the other players. You've talked about the story with Ernest Graham.
Yeah.
Right. You heard Keyshawn Johnson last year on ESPN get up there, and I know those two just didn't mix. So
Right.
maybe you need to go look to another source. But
Right.
I just don't hear. And Warren Sapp is one of the guys who speaks very highly of him. So again, it seems to be check the source. But so it seems to be pretty split though.
Birds
on
of a
that.
feather.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it seems to be maybe split opinion on him. But
Yeah.
he's always kind of. And we talked about it last year when this came out. Not to stereotype people, but nobody was surprised that John Gruden said these things in
No,
his emails.
no.
But then again,
It's not the first time he
he
said
has,
them.
but I will say this: in the court of law, which is what he's in right now with the NFL, in this case, I think he has a strong case in the fact
Yeah.
that the NFL set him up.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were 650,000 emails,
And those are the only ones that
and
came
only
out.
6 come out, and they're all from John Gruden.
And no negative ones on Dan Snyder.
No negative ones from Dan Snyder. Goodell's emails, they had to have been in this probe, I'm
Oh, yeah.
assuming.
Oh, yeah.
So he does.
Well, now
have a
John
case.
Gruden, John Gruden's going to have all of their emails. Before it was just the NFL controlling the emails, right?
Yeah.
And now with John in this lawsuit, John Gruden's attorney is going to get all the emails too, and discovery and depositions. So
And he wants another.
Maybe they can-
And he said he wants another chance. I mean, I just don't think it's happening. I think number one, I think his age. He's obviously advanced now in the age, and I think we were seeing signs.
He's what, 59? I think he's my age.
Yeah, but we
59,
were seeing signs that
The
maybe
hell are you
his-
saying? It's the
You know
same
what I'm
age as
saying.
me.
You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why you were lying about your age when I met you. Just
Yeah,
saying.
sure.
Anyway, but we were seeing signs when he was in Oakland, Las Vegas, whatever, that the game was not, I don't want to say passed him by, but a little archaic for him.
Yeah.
We were already seeing that sign.
Yeah.
And now you see that it's just a PR nightmare, and you never know what you're going to get out of John Gruden. I don't think any team's going to do it. He's suing the NFL for crying out loud.
Well, I don't think he's coming back to the NFL.
If he's coming back, it's going to be in college,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think that's why he chose the Little Rock Touchdown Club as his comeback.
Yeah.
For public consumption. And I think there's going to be a college team out there that looks at John Gruden and his celebrity. And he's been a successful coach. Absolutely. Frankly, I think he would be better in college than he would be in the NFL. I think the NFL players kind of see through it a little bit, and they get it. Whereas, wide-eyed, these college kids are probably like, oh, I remember him from Monday Night Football. This is John Gruden.
Well, I wonder though. This might make it really hard for him to coach anywhere, honestly, because we obviously know predominantly college football players are African American.
That's right.
And I don't see, when you're on the recruiting trail, I don't see how many parents are not going to caution their kids of speaking with this guy, how it's going to come off genuine, any of that stuff. So the more I really think about it, I don't even know if college football is actually even an option or any profession. I just don't know. Once you cross that bridge, I just don't know if there's any coming back there, because the trust is never going to be there.
And let's be honest, college administrators, the whole, college system is much more progressive, or woke. Choose your adjective there. And obviously he's not going to be looked upon in favorable light. It's from those, from that side of the aisle.
Maybe he'll fit in at Ole Miss.
And what he said right there about ESPN publicly, they're going to crush him. They are going to absolutely crush him every chance they get, which is not fair, but it is what it is. So,
which that's not going to endear him either, by the way.
No,
to go after ESPN.
No, it's not. So that's that situation. And before we break, I just want to say, if you have not heard, Stephen White, who played for the Buccaneers for 6 years back in the late 90s. I believe he was drafted in 98. I think it was 98 out of Tennessee. I covered him for many years, and always a wonderful interview. Really smart guy. Just a hard worker, not the most talented guy in the world, but just worked his ass off. Was a great teammate, a great guy, great smile. I always just remember him as just, you go into the locker room as a reporter, and you kind of have your go-to guys, and he was always a guy you could go to for a great quote, always smiling, just a really, really good dude. I've seen him over the years, just around town, and always, say hello, and just a nice dude. And he passes at the age of 48. I was battling leukemia. Just another one taken way, way, way too soon. Way too soon. So rest in peace, my friend, and prayers out to your friends and family. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side and talk a little bit more baseball. We'll get into some other NFL stories. The Lamar Jackson situation is still absolutely bizarre. And we'll talk about the Bucs 53-man roster. Talked about it a little bit yesterday. We'll kind of digest some of the other decisions that were made when we come back here on the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Hi, my name is Mike Warner, a Navy vet. I've had problems with addictions throughout the many decades. Something saved my life, and that is the Hero Mile program.
Hi, I'm Bill Lennox, retired Lieutenant General, United States Army. If you have any challenges in alcohol, drug, if you have PTSD, MST, think about Heroes Mile.
Heroes Mile, a recovery center for veterans by veterans. Call 1-888-VET-NOW2 to learn more or visit heroesmile.com.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Golden Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Golden Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating, or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Hi, I'm Rachel D'Antonio from Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency, Emerging Investigation. We have a proven track record of results. Local attorneys and insurance companies hire us to discover insurance fraud and crucial information in criminal cases. We can help in custody matters, and we devote a tremendous state-of-the-art technology and cutting-edge industry surveillance techniques to get you trusted results. Larger corporate agencies can be more expensive and do not offer the personal level of customer service and interaction that we pride ourselves on. We are a family-owned business. Our professional experience team includes my son, lead investigator Zach D'Antonio, a former collegiate athlete, and my daughter Emily, who leads our in-house investigations team. Don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center in our second hour, BAMMC.com, and by Scott Fitzgerald and American Mortgage Services, they've got a new program over there that is really, really good. It's available now in the greater Tampa Bay area. It's called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Check this out. No money down, no mortgage insurance, no PMI, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance. Loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. Must be a single-family home, 1 unit. Must be your primary residence and have a minimum 640 credit score. Program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. That's 813-294-7595 or scott@amstampa.com. Tell him you heard it on JP Show and said, hey, I want to find out about that new loan program, the Community Advantage Loan Program. Could save you thousands and thousands of dollars. Mortgage rates lower than usual. No PMI, no points, no origination fee. scott@amstampa.com. All right, wanted to get into the Bucs roster decisions as they cut down to 53. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I think that the most surprising thing is that none of the young receivers that we've been raving about, the Devin Tompkins, Jarrett Stearns, they didn't make it, and they kept Jalen Darden, which I think to me is the most surprising thing, and Brashad Perriman. And it's clear that Tom Brady made those selections. And Tyler Johnson did not make it, and they did not work out a trade for him. But evidently, I guess he's coveted on the waiver wire. I haven't seen him picked up anywhere yet.
No, but apparently he might be the best receiver that's sitting on the waiver wire because, he's always – the tools are there, and he had a lot of hype coming in. But I tell you what, I'm just not as surprised when I kind of sit back and look at it because Tom Brady's fingerprints are all over this, as you said.
Yep.
And as we've said before, I don't have a problem with that. This is legitimately the final ride for Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. I think we're about 95% sure of that. And he wants to have this roster the way he wants, and you have to have trust. So it doesn't do him any good to have Devin Tompkins. He probably barely knows who Devin Tompkins is.
Right.
Or Jarrett Stearns. He probably barely knows who those guys are. You know what he does know? Scotty Miller's a good example of that because he did not have the best preseason. He had an okay, good camp, but not a good preseason. Tom Brady didn't see that.
Yeah.
Tom Brady wasn't watching that.
No.
He wasn't out there on the field when Scotty Miller was dropping passes.
Nope.
You know where Scotty Miller was on the field with Tom Brady? During the playoffs, as you've said.
Yeah.
Which is the big plays that he made.
NFL actual games.
Yes.
Yes.
And big ones, too. Brashad Perriman, when he might not be on the field right now because he's been hurt, but when he was on the field was
Against
in
the
overtime
Bills.
against the Bills,
Yep.
and he ran by everybody to win that game. Remember, he also made maybe the catch of the year last year, which we haven't really mentioned, against Carolina, that toe-tapping one, if you recall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So Tom Brady has seen that and said, okay, I want that guy. And then if you're Tyler Johnson, you can't play the slot.
You don't block.
You can't play special teams, or you haven't put in the work to either do that, one of the two.
Yeah, that's an effort thing.
Yeah.
That's an effort and want
You
to
showed
thing.
up to camp last year out of shape and
Right.
got called out by Bruce Arians,
Right.
who may or may not have something to do with the roster decisions here.
Yeah.
So again, when you kind of look at it like that, is it really all that surprising?
No,
that Tyler
this is
Johnson's
why I
here?
said he wasn't going to make it.
Because he still dropped. He may have had a good preseason.
He
still dropped passes.
That's right.
He dropped like 2 or 3 passes.
Like when you put all that together, one thing you can't do is drop passes. You got to have the greatest hands on the team. And he, so I wasn't surprised like that.
Brady threw him right in the letters, if
Right.
you recall, the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
And he dropped it.
Yeah. The other part about Jalen Darden, everybody wants to say he's done better and he knows the system now better. I saw a couple of things in practice that were good. He definitely did flash in practice in the joint practices. Yeah. So I think that they believe, and I think Tom Brady believes that he's turned the corner. And I also believe this. Who's the guy on this receiving corps that really can take the top off the defense? I mean, just run by a guy one-on-one. Who's that guy? Mike Evans last year was unbelievable at that, really. I mean, he just got lots of separation. I think he can do it. I think a lot. But from a defensive standpoint, if you put a guy, I think it's Jalen Darden. I think he has the fastest straight line speed.
Scotty.
Yeah. Scotty Miller as well. Scotty feels like he's one of the fastest guys in the league. And he's shown that at times. And this might get a little deep in the woods at X's and O's. I think the Bucs are going to do a lot of max protect this year. And I think they're going to do a lot of get the ball out of Brady's hands this year. And what is the best way to keep teams from bringing everybody up, to stop the short passes, to stop the runs, is have a deep threat, a guy that can run by everybody on the defense. And Brady, of course, throws one of the best deep balls in the game. And I think that's the reason why they kept that guy.
And Perriman can do that as well, too.
Yeah,
so
well,
the three,
a little more advanced age, but yeah.
Yeah, but he always had speed on him. So, I mean, you have the three depth guys that can all do that. And Darden, I think, is going to be the kick and punt returner. He had the advantage there that he is that guy. He did a lot of that at North Texas. I wasn't all that impressed last year with him in that department. But again, from everything.
And he showed nothing in the return game in this preseason. The one he had last week, he ran out of bounds like he did every other time.
I'm going to be honest with you. Because of how bad the special teams has been for the entire time the Bucs have been a franchise, not just recently, entire time. I just want you to catch the ball. At this point, I understand it would be a weapon if you had somebody back there. At this point, just catch the ball.
Yeah.
Please don't fumble the ball. Don't muff it. Just catch it. That's all I ask right now.
Well, we should aspire to more.
We've been aspiring to more for 50 years.
I think
as a franchise.
I think Rashad. Why not that you're going to return a lot of kickoffs? Although teams have figured out the Bucs suck at it, so they're going to mortar kick the hell out of you until you start proving you can return it.
You have three
to 20
options
yards.
that can do it. You have Darden can do it, Scotty can do it, and Rashad White can do it. So again, and we've talked about it too, it doesn't mean that this is going to be the roster that's going to be finalized when we get to week 1.
That's true.
It doesn't mean this is the guys you're going to see when we get to week 8 in the dog days of the NFL season. It's no guarantee. Darden could crap the bed and he could muff 2 punts or 3 punts through the first 4 weeks. And guess what? He won't be on this football team by then. And that's what's important to have these guys on your practice squad. So Devin Tompkins is going to be okay. He's going to come back to this practice squad, I'm pretty sure. Jared Stearns will come back to this practice squad, and they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll get looks eventually because I don't think everybody here is going to stay healthy, by the way, throughout the season.
I don't either. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back on the other side and finish up with a couple other stories. DJ Pittinger is going to join us. Hopefully he can still join us. I missed him at 11:30. We were supposed to have him on. That was my bad. We'll get back to it when we come back. Stay with us.
Serena Fazan here for the Golden Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Golden Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Collegiate athlete, and my daughter Emily, who leads our in-house investigations team. Don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Pure sports. JP is back on. Welcome back. FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. Let's go right to our good friend TJ Pittinger of the Roll Up Network and the Great Double Fries Podcast. Double Fries Pod. You can find him at Double Fries Pod on Twitter and at TJ_Pittinger as well. What's up, TJ? How are you?
Man, I'm good. College football back tomorrow. I guess I got a little appetizer last week, but for real back tomorrow.
Yeah. Did you go up to Tally this past weekend? I did.
I did. Yeah. I had a ton of fun up there. It was nice to have a cupcake to open the year and get a win.
No, I think it was very important for FSU, and with a lot of new faces, and just the way they played, it was very crisp. I know it was Duquesne, but I think it's and history shows that if you get a game in before your big game, you got a good chance of winning. So I think it was important for FSU. What did you see in that game that gave you hope that this could be a good season for FSU?
Man, it really looked like Florida State's running backs and quarterback have a command of the offense. The running backs, I mean, the first time in 76 years for three guys to go over 100 yards. I understand the quality of opponent, but they've played bad teams in the past and haven't done that.
Yep.
And Jordan Travis really did look like he just stood back there. Again, quality of opponent in mind. He stood back there and delivered the ball when he needed to, was really, really good, really, really confident. And, when the first team was in there, they scored on every single drive, right? Like you'd like to finish a couple of them off with touchdowns instead of field goals. But, yeah, I think the team was, I don't know that I'm necessarily changing my win total or anything just yet, but I think the team was as good as you could want against a bad team. You win by 40. You get out relatively healthy. I thought it was great all around.
What is your win total?
Man, I'm at 7. I don't mean it to be a downer. I do think that LSU is, a slightly better team and probably finds a way to get a win on Saturday. But I like 7. If they can win either of these next two games, LSU or Louisville, I think that bumps up to 8 for me. I think both these games are going to be extremely tough. You're playing in hostile environments on the road at Louisville and, again, in the Dome at LSU. And I think that if you can win either of those, I'll bump up to 8 because I think those two teams are really, really good. But I'm between 7 and 8 right now.
I think LSU's more talented than FSU. I don't think there's any question about that. But I do put a lot of stock into continuity and lack of continuity. And Brian Kelly's, trying to change a culture. He's trying to, he's bringing in new systems. He's going to be breaking a new quarterback, whoever he chooses. And I think there's a lot of disarray in that program, and he's got a lot to fix there in terms of getting people in and getting people out that aren't part of the program. We know what Mike Norvell went through, and many coaches go through this. So I think we're getting LSU in a really good spot, to be quite honest. And I do think it's important that it's not on the LSU campus, that it's in the Dome, and it's going to be 40% FSU fans. I think that's important too.
Yeah, I think it's bad for fans. Because there is no scene like the LSU tailgate scene. And I've been in some big stadiums. I've been in some loud moments. The loudest stadium I've ever been in was I was at LSU, Alabama in 2016, and Jalen Hurts threw an interception to open that game up, and the place felt like it was shaking.
It was.
And I've been in the Swamp. I've been in Doak. I've been in Clemson Stadium. There was nothing like that. That was insane. And so it's bad for fans, great for the team. So I'm all about playing in New Orleans.
I was there. I think it was the national championship season in '93, if I'm recalling correctly. And Willie Floyd had a big game. It was raining, but that place, man, when it booms, it booms. It literally has moved the seismometer. It's shaking the earth. So, hey, what do you think about this FSU offensive line? I know, especially at center, there's a huge issue. But I just the eyeball test was like, wow, these guys work well together. They opened some gaping holes for the running backs, and I don't think we had one false start penalty, which is a freaking miracle.
Something we haven't said in years.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the best. I think it'll be the best offensive line Florida State has had since 2013, maybe 2014. But I don't even think that one was very good. I just think Galvin was like on a different planet.
Yeah.
And so, and that is not necessarily to say that they'll be a good or great offensive line, but I just think if they can be average, it'll make Florida State fans happy with how bad it's been the last 5, 6, 7 years. If they can be top 50, of 130 teams, I mean, that's not great. That's not like blowing anybody's doors off. They're going to make mistakes, but they can just be like in the top half of college football. I think they'll be in really, really good shape. There's more continuity there. You're able to withstand a couple of injuries. You're able to move guys around. Alex Atkins is the best, O-line coach in the country, in my opinion, with the relationships he develops and then just developing guys. And he has really turned that unit from the embarrassment of the team into maybe a strength. We'll see this year. Maybe I'm getting a little crazy with that.
He's no Rick Trickett, but, I'll take him any day of the week. TJ Pittinger joining us here from the Roll Up Network and Double Fries podcast. Hey, tell us about, first of all, let's tell us about the tailgate party that you guys are throwing in New Orleans, where I will definitely be a part of.
Yeah, coming out to throw some cold ones back before the game. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're kind of like exploring. We've done some tailgates in the past. We did a huge one for the Notre Dame game last year. We did a big one for the spring game. We did a kind of small thing up for Duquesne this week. But this will be the big one. This will be the probably the biggest of the season. We are hanging out 2 blocks from the stadium. We are sneaking in some Guthrie's chicken, which is where we get the double fries, no slaw for those that don't know. But sneaking in some Guthrie's chicken. We got some jambalaya coming. We're going to keep it somewhat local there too. And then we've got beers and liquor. We've got shade, which is probably the most important of any of those things. Very important. Private bathrooms. That's always a big one. And we'll have a DJ. My guy Devin that is out there, and we'll have a good time. So you can go to rollupnetwork.com. If you click on the merch button, it's the very first item that's for sale there. You can get into the tailgate, but we will have a blast, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, as am I, because that's a great part of the game. You guys got a great location as well, and all that food is making me hungry already. Absolutely. So, all right, so you got seven win total. Who do you think of this receiving core? We've talked about the running backs who are fantastic, and I think they're going to use all 3 of them. I think you would agree, right? I don't think they all look great, and I think Norvell has had a history of using multiple backs in a lot of different ways. But who do you see standing out in the receiving core as well?
Man, I really like this Johnny Wilson kid. He got a little banged up this week, rolled an ankle, should be back this weekend, and I think he'll be in pretty good shape. I think it's kind of something that may linger all year, and it may just have to kind of play through it. But tough kid. I think he'll be really good. He's a legit 6'7". He's not like a depth chart 6'7", where guys usually like 6'5", and they like to add a couple of inches there. He is a legit 6'7", and the people that I've talked to within the program, Florida State didn't run this last week because I don't think they wanted to put it on tape. Also, he got injured a little bit early, but they tell me he is a problem in the red zone at high pointing the ball. There's some hyperbole going around the FSU media sphere. I don't think I'm not willing to say that he's better than a first rounder, but I've heard that he's every bit as good at high pointing the Kelvin did in 2013 in the glory days. So I'm not ready to crown him just yet. That kid won us a national championship and went first round, but Johnny Wilson's somebody that I am super excited to see this year.
Yeah, and I think defensively, I think we're gonna learn a lot more about this team. But I just love the fact that we've got 4 pretty big guys up front that they can rotate. And that to me is, we don't have Jermaine Johnson. Jared Verse looks pretty good. Tatum, the new linebacker, I think is a huge step forward. Defensively, I think we'll learn a lot. But I like what I've seen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Tatum Bethune is probably going to be the pickup of the offseason. He, coming over from UCF, led them in tackles last year, led the bowl game in tackles when they played against UF. So it wasn't just like he dominated bad competition or anything like that. Kid is explosive. He gets off the ball so quickly and fills gaps, reacts really, really well, and it's been fantastic. The defensive line, you mentioned Jermaine being gone. And, I don't think our defensive ends, pound for pounder, as good as they were last year when you lose a first rounder. And shout out Keir Thomas, who looks like he's going to get a roster spot with the best team in football, with the Rams. So I think that your defensive line is not going to be as one-dimensional, but I do think they'll be more balanced. And I love the guys in the middle. I love Fabian Lovett and Robert Cooper. I really like our ends. I think that they'll all work together really well. And then I kind of hitting on every position group. I love our safeties. I think Akeem Dent and Jamie Robinson are the best safeties in the conference. And cornerback is a position that needs to improve. I wouldn't call it a concern, but it's probably the area that I'm most concerned about, just because I think every other position group is just spot on and fantastic. So, I think the defense has got a shot to be top 20, top 30-ish this year, but they play a lot of good teams, a lot of good quarterbacks, I'll say. You think about Tyler Van Dyke, you play Cunningham. You're going to play a good LSU team with good wideouts. You may have Hartman back for Wake. You've got Anthony Richardson. So you're going to play some good teams. But I think the defense could be really, really good. Top 20, top 30 would be kind of my bold prediction for them.
All right, TJ Pittinger, the Roll Up Network, and the Double Fries podcast. Check him out. You can find him at TJ_Pittinger. All right, partner, I'll see you in NOLA. Thanks, buddy.
Can't wait, man. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Man, I'm so excited about college football. Already been to one game, going to another, and can't watch USF and BYU. It's going to be freaking huge. That's 4:00 on Saturday. When does UCF start?
We have tomorrow night, South Carolina State.
All right, so we'll be watching a little bit of that as well. All right, our thanks to TJ, Chris Pinson, and Matthew Quigley, CEO of Rising Spear. If you missed that really good conversation on NIL, not just Florida State, but just NIL in general, if you want to learn about how it works, what the future is, check that out. And that was in our 10:30 segment. We will be back tomorrow. We're efforting Jeff Scott, head coach of USF. So hopefully we'll be able to chat with him before their big game this weekend. So have a great day, everybody. Go Rays.